Namaste Sri Arabindaya. Om Anandamayi Saitanyamayi Satyamayi Parame. Savitri, Book 7, The Book of Yoga, Canto 6, Nirvana and the Discovery of the All-Negating Absolute. A sight opened upon the invisible, and sensed the shapes that mortal eyes see not, the sounds that mortal listening cannot hear, the blissful sweetness of the intangible's touch, the objects that to us are empty air. Are they the stuff of daily experience? And the common pabulum of sense and thought, the beings of the subtle realms appeared, and scenes concealed behind our earthly scene. She saw the life of remote continents, and the distance deafened not to voices far. She felt the moments crossing unknown minds. The past events occurred before her eyes. The great world's thoughts were part of her own thought. The feelings dumped forever and unshared. The ideas that never found an utterance.
The dim subconscious incoherent hints laid bare a meaning twisted, deep and strange, the bizarre secret of their fumbling speech, their links with underlying reality. The unseen grew visible and audible. Thoughts leaped down from a superconscient field, like eagles swooping from a viewless peak. Thoughts gleamed up from the screened subliminal depths, like golden fishes from a hidden sea. This world is a vast unbroken totality. A deep solidarity joins its contrary powers. God's summits look back on the mute abyss.
So man, evolving to the divinized heights, collides still with the animal and the jinn. The human guarded with the stargazer eyes lives still in one house with the primal beast. The high meets the low, all is a single plan. So she beheld the many births of thought. If birth can be of what eternal is, for the eternal's power are like himself, timeless in the timeless, in time ever born.
This too she saw, that all in outer mind is made, not born, a product perishable, forged in the body's factory by earth force. This mind is a dynamic small machine, producing ceaselessly till it wears out, with raw material drawn from the outside world, the patterns sketched out by an artist god. Often our thoughts are furnished cosmic wares admitted by a silent office gate and passed through the subconscious galleries, then issued in time's mart as private make.
For now they bear the living person's stamp, a trick, a special hue claims them his own. All else is nature's craft and this too hers. Our tasks are given, we are but instruments. Nothing is all our own that we create. The power that acts in us is not our force. The genius too receives from some high fount, concealed in a supernal secrecy, the work that gives him an immortal name.
The word, the form, the charm, the glory and grace. Our mission sparks from a stupendous fire, a sample from the laboratory of God, of which he holds the patent upon earth, comes to him wrapped in golden coverings. He listens for inspiration's postman knock and takes delivery of the priceless gift. a little spoiled by the receiver mind or mixed with the manufacture of his brain. When least defaced, then is it most divine.
Although his ego claims the world for its use, man is a dynamo for the cosmic work. Nature does most, in him God the high rest. Only his soul's acceptance is his own. This independent once a power supreme, self-born before the universe was made. Accepting cosmos binds himself nature's serf, till he becomes her freedman or God's slave.
This is the appearance in our mortal friend. Our greater truth of being lies behind. Our consciousness is cosmic and immense. But only when we break through matter's wall, in that spiritual vastness can we stand, where we can live the masters of our world, and mind is only a means and body a tool.
For above the birth of body and of thought, our spirit's truth lives in the naked self, and from that height, unbound, surveys the world. Out of the mind, she rose to escape its law, that it might sleep in some deep shadow of self, or fall silent in the silence of the unseen.
High she attained and stood from nature free, and saw creation's life from far above. Thence upon all she laid her sovereign will, to dedicate it to God's timeless calm. Then all grew tranquil in her being's space. Only sometimes small thoughts arose and fell like quiet waves upon a silent sea, or ripples passing over a lonely pool, when a stray stone disturbs its dreaming rest.
Yet the mind's factory had ceased to work. There was no sound of the dynamo's throb. There came no call from the still fields of life. Then even those stirrings rose in her no more. Her mind now seemed like a vast empty room, or like a peaceful landscape without sound. This men call quietude and prize as peace.
But to a deeper sight all yet was there, effervescing like a chaos under a lid. Feelings and thoughts cried out for word and act, but found no response in the silenced brain. All was suppressed, but nothing yet expunged. At every moment might explosion come. Then this too paused. The body seemed a stone.
All now was a wide mighty vacancy, but still excluded from eternity's hush. For still was for the repose of the Absolute, and the ocean silence of infinity. Even now, some thoughts could cross her solitude. These surged not from the depths or from within, cast up from formlessness to seek a form, spoke not the body's need, nor voiced life's call.
These seemed not born nor made in human time, children of cosmic nature from a far world, ideas shapes in complete armor of words, posted like travelers in an alien space. Out of some far expanse they seem to come, as if carried on vast wings like large white sails, and with easy access reach the inner ear, as though they used a natural privileged right to the high royal entries of the soul.
As yet their path lay deep, concealed in light. Then, looking to know whence the intruders came, she saw a spiritual immensity pervading and encompassing the world space, as ether our transparent, tangible air, and through it sailing tranquilly a thought.
As smoothly glides a ship, nearing its port, ignorant of embargo and blockade, confident of entrance and the visa sea. It came to the silent city of the brain, towards its accustomed and expectant way, but met a bearing will, a blow of force, and sank vanishing in the immensity.
After a long vacant pause, another appeared, and others, one by one, suddenly emerged, mind's unexpected visitors from the unseen, like far-off sails upon a lonely sea. But soon that commerce failed, none reached mind's coast. Then all grew still, nothing moved anymore. Immobile, self-wrapped, timeless, solitary, a silent spirit pervaded silent space.
In that absolute stillness, bare and formidable, there was glimpsed an all-negating void supreme that claimed its mystic nihil's sovereign right to cancel nature and deny the soul. Even the nude sense of self grew pale and thin, impersonal, signless, featureless, void of forms. A blank, pure consciousness had replaced the mind.
Her spirit seemed the substance of a name, the word a pictured symbol drawn on self, a dream of images, a dream of sounds, built up the semblance of a universe, or lent to spirit the appearance of a world. This was self-seeing in that intolerant hush. No notion, no concept could take shape. There was no sense to frame the figure of things. A sheer self-sight was there, no thought arose.
Emotion slept deep down in the still heart, or lay buried in the cemetery of peace. All feelings seemed quiescent, calm, or dead, as if the heartstrings rent could work no more, and joy and grief could never rise again. The heart beat on with an unconscious rhythm, but no response came from it, and no cry.
Vain was the provocation of events. Nothing within answered an outside touch. No nerve was stirred and no reaction rose. Yet still her body saw and moved and spoke. It understood without the aid of thought. It said whatever needed to be said. It did whatever needed to be done.
There was no person there behind the act, no mind that chose or passed the fitting word, all rough like an unerring up machine, as if continuing old habitual tones, and pushed by an old unexhausted force. The engine did the work for which it was made.
Her consciousness looked on and took no part. All it upheld, in nothing had a share. There was no strong initiative will. An incoherence crossing a firm void slipped into an order of related chance. A pure perception was the only power that stood behind her action and her sight.
If that retired, all objects would be extinct. Her private universe would cease to be. The house she had built with the bricks of thought and sense, in the beginning after the birth of space.
This seeing was identical with the seen. It knew without knowledge all that could be known. It saw impartially the world go by, but in the same supine unmoving glance saw to its abysmal unreality.
It watched the figure of the cosmic game, but the thought and the inner life in form seemed dead, abolished by her own collapse of thought. A hollow physical cell presided still.
All seemed a brilliant shadow of itself, a cosmic film of scenes and images. The enduring mass and outline of the hills was a design sketched on a silent mind and held to a tremulous false solidity by constant beats of visionary sight.
The forest with its emerald multitudes, clothed with its show of hues, vague empty space, a painting's colors hiding a surface void that flickered upon dissolution's edge, the blue heavens, an illusion of the eyes, roofed in the mind's illusion of a world.
The men who walked beneath an unreal sky seemed mobile puppets out of cardboard cut and pushed by unseen hands across the soil, or moving pictures upon fancy's film.
There was no soul within, no power of life. The brain's vibrations that appear like thought, the nerve's brief answer to each contact's knock. The heart's querrings felt as joy and grief and love, were twitchings of the body their seeming self, that body forged from atoms and from gas, a manufactured lie of Maya's make, its life a dream seen by the sleeping void.
The animals lone are trooping through the glades, flood like a passing vision of beauty and grace, imagined by some all-creating eye. Yet something was there, behind the fading scene. Wherever she turned, at whatsoever she looked, it was perceived, yet it from mind and sight.
The one only real shut itself from space and stood aloof from the idea of time. Its truth escaped from shape and line and hue. All else grew unsubstantial, self-annulled. This only everlasting seemed and true, yet nowhere dwelt, it was outside the hearse.
This only could justify the labor of sight, but sight could not define for it a form. This only could appease the unsatisfied ear, but hearing listened in vain for a missing sound. This answered not the sense, called not to mind.
It met her as the uncaught, inaudible voice that speaks forever from the unknowable. It met her like an omnipresent point, pure of dimensions, unfixed, invisible, the single oneness of its multiplied being, accentuating its sole eternity.
It faced her as some vast not's immensity, an endless no to all that seems to be, an endless yes to things ever unconceived, and all that is unimagined and unthought, an eternal zero or untotaled odd, a spaceless and placeless infinite.
Yet eternity and infinity seemed but words, vainly affixed by mind's incompetence. to its stupendous lone reality. The world is but a spark burst from its light. All moments flashes from its timelessness. All objects glimmerings of the bodiless that disappear from mind when that is seen.
It held, as if a shield before its face, a consciousness that saw without a seer, the truth where knowledge is not nor knower nor known, the love enamored of its own delight, in which the lover is not nor the beloved, bringing their personal passion into the vast, the force omnipotent in quietude, the bliss that none can ever hope to taste.
It cancelled the convincing cheat of self. A truth in nothingness was its mighty clue. If all existence could renounce to be, and being take refuge in non-being's arms, and non-being could strike out its ciphered round, some lustre of that reality might appear.
A formless liberation came on her, once sepulchred alive in brain and flesh. She had risen up from body, mind, and life. She was no more a person in a world. She had escaped into infinity.
What once had been herself had disappeared. There was no frame of things, no figure of soul, a refugee from the domain of sense, evading the necessity of thought, delivered from knowledge and from ignorance, and rescued from the true and the untrue. She shared the superconscience high retreat, beyond the self-born word, the nude idea, the first bare solid ground of consciousness. Begins were not there, existence had no place. There was no temptation of the joy to be.
Unutterably effaced, no one and null, a vanishing vestige like a violet trace, a faint record merely of herself now past. She was a point in the unknowable, only some last annulment now remained. Annihilation's vague, indefinable step, a memory of being still, was there and kept her separate from nothingness. She was in that but still became not that.
This shadow of herself, so close to naught, could be against self-point deep to live, return out of the inconceivable, and be what some mysterious vast might choose. Even as the unknowable decreed, she might be not, or new become the all, or if the omnipotent nihil took a shape, emerge as someone and redeem the world.
Even she might learn what the mystic cipher held. This seeming exit or closed end of all could be a blind, tenebrous passage screened from sight. Her state, the eclipsing shell of a darkened sun, on its secret way to the ineffable. Even now her splendid being might flame back, out of the silence and the nullity, a gleaming portion of the all-wonderful, a power of some all-affirming absolute, a shining mirror of the eternal truth, to show to the one in all its manifest face, to the souls of men their deep identity.
Or she might wake into God's quietude beyond the cosmic day and cosmic night, and rest appeased in His white eternity. But this was now unreal or remote, or covered in the mystic fathomless blank. In infinite nothingness was the ultimate sign, or else the real was the unknowable. A lonely absolute negated all. It effaced the ignorant world from its solitude. and drown the soul in its everlasting peace. End of Canto 6, Book 7. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Arvindaya. Om Anandamayi Chaitanyamayi Satyamayi Parame.
जय जय माँ जय जय